Right now, you might be in contact with a person close to your heart, and perhaps you're asking yourself, will there be, or will there be again, a relationship or a committed partnership between the two of us? Or maybe you have no contact with him or her at all, and you're also wondering, phew, maybe it's already been such a long time. Will anything ever happen again at all? Is there even still any possibility where you might now see for yourself, wow, he's already so far away from you? It's already been such a long time. There's absolutely no possibility anymore, no chance at all, no contact. As well as, right? That's when logic comes in. No matter, as I said, whether you're in contact or currently not in contact. The important question is, will he or she enter into or re-enter into a committed life partnership with you? And that's what we're going to look at now. We are tapping into the energy of the present moment, the most prominent energy that wants to reveal itself. And as you know, this is a collective reading. The character cards are gender neutral, meaning your counterpart can be male or female. And please always adapt it to your own situation. And the collective reading cannot always be 100% accurate for everyone. And no matter when you watch this video, it is meant for you in this moment because it has a message for you. A very warm, wonderfully loving hello to all of you, to each and every one of you. I'm sending you a big loving hug and once again, a wonderfully heartfelt thank you for your comments. It is so sweet, it is so wonderful, and it truly touches my heart. Thank you for that. Thank you for being here. And I have once again taken the question from the collective, from someone in the collective. And you are always very welcome to share your wishes or suggestions for a collective question or collective reading. Very gladly. And of course, I will always include them as well. So, and now I would say, let's get started and take a look. What's going on with your counterpart, your loved one? We'll consult the oracle together. So, a blockage is showing up. Yes, we've already seen that before. So something is going on here, right? We have a bit of a delay, yes? Maybe there have also been repeated delays between the two of you. I see entanglements very, very clearly. We have entanglements here. We're dealing with it. There are entanglements here. Maybe another woman, a complicated path. Whether you were already in a relationship before, as I said, there are entanglements here. Maybe you also had something going on with his family, with someone with different situations. And definitely the environment is still an issue here, and maybe it was an issue for some of you before. And he or she always kind of wriggled around it, somehow avoided really getting deeply involved, or maybe always managed to slip out of it. Maybe it was also just the getting to know each other phase, right? No matter what situation you were in, he may have always wriggled out of a relationship or the decision for a committed partnership. And so neither here nor there, neither fish nor fowl, didn't know at all where to go back and forth, right? Maybe he never really gave you an answer about it either, always just slipped through somehow, you know? But there is also movement to be seen, specifically movement toward a renewal. But we do have complications, you know? Maybe there have always been a few detours here. Maybe there still are. You know, we're going to dig deeper. We'll take a close look at what's really going on there. Let's see at the end exactly. Oh yes, you're definitely involved with her, right? You are definitely a topic for your special someone. Absolutely certain you are a topic. So it doesn't matter whether you're still in contact or not in contact. Contact or no contact, you are a topic. Even if you say, phew, we haven't had contact for a few weeks, months, or maybe even years, you know, time is always fluid, but you are still a topic. And what exactly is the topic? Let's just see what else comes up and surprises us. With your special someone, there's something going on inside them that has to do with permanence, with something long-term, something lasting togetherness, and a togetherness with you as well. So that's the topic. As I said, no matter what kind of connection you've had with each other before, it's about this being together. It's on his mind, no matter what happened. But he still hasn't let go of the connection with you. And maybe there was no stability. The stability between the two of you wasn't really there yet. But it occupies his mind, yes. He might also really withdraw a lot. Maybe he's also very much, well, perhaps caught up in his family, whatever the case may be. Okay, but I'll also say this. When he's at home and has that peace, he thinks about the topic, about what once was between you two and where he wants to go. Big topic, very interesting. So let's take a look at how things will continue here. All right. Yes. The rascal has often managed to get himself out of trouble, to wriggle out of things. We see it here again. And it's always the outside, always the influence, the influence, the influence from outside. If friends or family really are involved here, it really does seem to be an issue which has always had an influence or still does even now. But regardless of whether it's still an issue now or not, he is definitely preoccupied with a change. A change, yes, also in his home environment, but above all within himself, especially when it comes to the past. Especially when he didn't trust, always wriggling out of things again and again. And now he himself is at the point, even if he told you back then, either it's over and that's it, or no, I don't want a relationship, that's not for me. I just want an affair, or I just want friendship. Now he's at the point where he is actually disappointed in himself. The disappointment, the sadness, because of various influences, different situations that have come up, that have appeared in his life, even when he said, no, I want to live my single life now, or I don't want any of this. At this point in time, no matter what it was about, the path he chose to take has taught him otherwise. Because now he realizes that he actually doesn't have any support from anything or anyone. Friends, yes, that sounds good. He always thought they were good friends too, people he could rely on. Maybe on family? Can I rely on them? That's a really big issue for him anyway, in general. Family, it could be the mother, the father. It could also be a sibling. No matter what it's about, family. It doesn't have to be everyone. It could just be one person. Or friends. As I said, we are in a collective. But that's the issue, that I kept letting myself be influenced by it. Because he relied on others. Trusted them. The opinion of someone else or of others. And that's because he didn't trust himself. He kept lacking confidence in himself. And he also realized that he was heading completely in the wrong direction, that he had taken a wrong turn all along. And now he's really running out of gas, you know. The tires are wearing down, the engine is getting weak, oil is missing, and the gas is running out. So, and there are constant arguments, constant complications, constant conflicts in his environment. And he keeps withdrawing from it himself. He keeps retreating into his shell like a snail. It's actually very good that he or she does that, because at this point it's actually the case that, especially in the evening hours, you know, or when it gets a bit darker or quieter, doesn't matter anyway, whenever he or she is alone and things calm down a bit for him, that's when he really starts to reflect, to truly think deeply and carefully in his retreat, in his own personal space, in his cave, where he actually sits and thinks carefully and thoroughly about what just happened, about what has just occurred, taking a moment to process everything in silence. Do I actually like all of this? And I really find it fantastic here that he always thinks about it and questions whether he actually likes his situation at all. Because he realizes it doesn't fit anymore. He feels completely under pressure. He feels burdened. This is nothing. There's a complete lack of lightness. He imagined the whole thing would be nicer, really much nicer. But he also realized, as I said, many situations are only now becoming clear to him. Hey, wait a minute. What kind of fool have I been? I actually don't like this at all. All this time, I've been living other people's lives, following other people's opinions, other people's decisions. But what about my own? Above all, he or she has really put their own wishes and needs on the back burner. And now he's reaching the point in his life where he genuinely and deeply misses you, where he finds himself thinking about you more often, and where he also realizes on a conscious and thoughtful level that this is truly a wonderful and meaningful connection that he values greatly. The circle is closing, and he didn't see it the whole time, didn't want to see it, kept running away from it. Yes, running away from himself. And a significant issue for him is that he is more and more increasingly coming into communication with himself, with his own heart, his innermost feelings. And his heart letting his heart truly speak, communicating even more with himself, with his own heart, to put it in my own words, but also that he genuinely feels your closeness. And that's where we really see the change. For him, it's within himself. Sure, the home environment is shown, but from all the combinations, the change is happening inside him. And there you are. You are part of the change. And he feels you. And very intensely, maybe he even saw you somewhere outside. Because I can sense him or her at this point now, somehow, he doesn't really know anymore how to assess you, or if he even can. Maybe you are currently in contact with them, or perhaps the contact you are waiting for is still yet to come. As I said, the reason I keep mentioning the contact is because it's clearly present between the two of you. That's why I say either you are currently in contact or you will get back in touch. He must have picked up on something, whether he heard it from someone or saw you himself somewhere outside. Because the thing is, he knows he can't really gauge you anymore. Maybe you have a different hairstyle, a different demeanor, different clothes, your style, something is different. Maybe he also noticed something where he thinks, you would never have reacted like that before, or acted that way, or done that kind of activity, or pursued that hobby, or something like that. Now he's completely uncertain because he can't figure you out anymore. Maybe you are currently in contact, or even if you get back in touch, he will sense that something is different about you. Something is going on here. What could it be? Someone else? Would she even want me anymore? Because somehow he senses that you're no longer as accessible as he's used to from you. Maybe you write differently, respond differently. And also the distance, like I said, it really looks here as if there's more of a delay when you reply. Because you say, no, before I always replied immediately. As soon as you wrote, I was waiting for it and answered right away, for example. Well, because here I see a bit of a delay since you're turning away a little, keeping a bit of distance in your own way, but lovingly. Not in a mean way. That's how I see it here in the collective. So a real change can be seen here. And that's going to make his mind really start racing, his thoughts spinning out of control, because in that moment, he suddenly no longer knows what to say, what's right or what's wrong, or even how he should respond, leaving him feeling completely uncertain and confused. And that's when he'll completely soften up. You might even think to yourself, seriously, what are you acting like a little kid for now? Because maybe there's some reaction from him or her that totally confuses you. And you're like, is he actually being serious right now? Just smile to yourself. That's because he's starting to struggle, getting restless, and really doesn't know what to do anymore because he can't read you anymore. Something just doesn't fit here anymore. But he's incredibly curious. He actually wants to change. And the change, yes, he is thinking about it. So now, even if you have no contact, no matter how he already has you in his thoughts in terms of a relationship, the domestic sphere, the change, maybe it's also the case that he's moving or currently renovating something or changing something, rearranging something because it's on his mind. Would you like that? Or what would you say about it now? Or what suggestion might you have? Above all, what I find fantastic here again is that he has the feeling that if you were there, how wonderful it would be. But he doesn't feel that way all the time, right? It comes up from time to time. He tries to push this feeling or thought away because it's like, I'm not a little kid, not a teenager here. I'm a man here. That's the kind of reaction I see in him or in her. But it still keeps catching up with him because as tough as he may seem on the outside, as he always shows, he's just as soft inside. I really see him as very, very gentle, and this softness is coming out more and more. That's his inner self. That's truly what's going on inside him, what's happening there. And you are in his heart, and he's thinking about the relationship even more intensely and with more confusion regarding the relationship because he still can't gauge whether you would even want it anymore. But he's really going to make an effort. I can tell you this for sure here after this collective reading, because he's no longer 100% certain. I see him as very thoughtful, and that sense of certainty is missing here because, as I said, he really can't gauge you anymore. You've changed, and it's like, phew, right? And well, he kind of suspects that maybe you're not even into him anymore, that you might not want him at all. And yes, but he's also not really in that space anymore where he would say, okay, now I'm going to start hitting on others or hitting on you, because he's more afraid that if he really tries to hit on you now, maybe like he used to do or something. Christian, you say, hey, hitting on me isn't worth it. I'm not a construction site, right? So that's what I see here. But he will definitely make an effort, and there has been a huge change in him or her because he is increasingly moving toward communication, relationship, and connection with you. And yes, what is shown is a committed life partnership. As I said, he let him flounder his own issues because he can no longer fully grasp or assess whether you really still want him. And now he doesn't have that 100% certainty anymore. Was someone always completely sure about that before? So, and now? Yeah, not anymore, right? So I see him being very thoughtful here. But as I said, it looks very good. We do have a slight delay here, yes. So even if you are in contact, that doesn't mean, wow, now poof, we are immediately back in a committed life partnership. So in terms of timing, I have here 4 to 6, but I'm leaning more towards 6. That could be days. Honestly, that sits a bit heavy with me right now. I'd say weeks up to months, right? So if I take the whole combination and what's being said here, I'd say about 6, right? In terms of the time frame, right? So up to months. But as I said, time, it's all in your own hands. What and how fantastic. Fantastic. So on the one hand, we have the crossroads, and yes, he will start to have doubts himself, especially in conversations with you, in communication. The doubt, as I mentioned earlier, that's the change. And he's a bit of a scaredy cat because he tries to avoid it a little. Ideally, he'd like to sweep everything that happened under the rug, right? Because I don't have a little innocent angel lying here in front of me. Here, right? That one. And there he really is a bit of a scaredy cat. What's coming here? Or is there going to be trouble now? Oh, well, I'd really like to sweep it under the table, but I actually see you here as totally stable. Not that you're making a big scene with him here, right? I actually see you lying here calmly, And it's not like you're going to chew everything over again like a camel or bring up things that happened in the past. You might address 1 or 2 issues directly when the time comes, but not before, because you're more in the observer's perspective. That's how I see you. I see you more as lying here, just observing, And then at the right moment, you say something. It's as if now things are going according to your rules at your own pace, but in a loving and gentle way. So I don't see you as cold here, not like, wow, this, and that, you see? No, I see you as warm and gentle. You do clearly say what's going on or what you don't want anymore, but you still express it in a gentle, very loving and harmonious way. And that really gets through to him. But what I also find wonderful here is that you don't just let everything stand as he wants it, but that you really do take a stand yourself and say something, right? So there is a change being shown there. Yes, as I said, he still has a bit of fear of confrontation because those are his self-doubts, As I said, he's a bit of a scaredy cat when it comes to conflict, But I really see you here very much, as if you're saying, I have nothing to lose, Either things go the way I want them to now, or not at all, because I see you have come a long way for yourself here, that you have a lot of change within you. And that is a really, really big step for you, and that's wonderful. And so I find the connection absolutely perfect. Fantastic, because you decide, do I want you or do I not want you, right? Let's just see for now. And if not, I can always change my mind, you know? That's how I see you here now. Absolutely great, as I said, because he can't get a hold of you anymore and he notices that. And that's when he really starts to think. That's when I have him really, truly deep in thought. Whereas before, he might have always just pushed everything away, refused to look at it, problem, oh my God, no, right? All stress, leave me alone. Yes, and then it really leads to clarity here. And we have here again in the evening at night what I said before, right? Something is always happening then. It could also be that he gets in touch with you one evening, or that you have a conversation in the evening, or that he just calls in the middle of the night, you know. Maybe by then he's already had a beer or a shot or something, you know, to give himself some courage for this conversation. That's quite possible. But the stars are absolutely fantastic in any case. Here it really comes down to clarity and above all completeness for both of you. A lucky card on top of that. Everything will be fine, you know. It's really moving into abundance here because he or she is becoming more and more confident. He wants you, he wants a relationship with you. And but still, it's always this thing until he gains clarity about whether everything is okay. That's always the thing. He can't really read you anymore, but the result is what matters. And for him, like I said, he's really going to go all out for a relationship with you. Because this means a lot to him, because you mean so, so much to him. Yes? Okay, my dears, I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for watching and wish you a wonderfully beautiful rest of your day. Goodbye.